Good morning. Welcome to day 5 of the 5-day Money Matters Challenge. I'm Kat Sanford, the creator of this challenge, and I am the Abundance Alchemist, helping you create more meaningful income so you can have a bigger impact in the world. I am so excited. We are wrapping up this challenge, and I have some beautiful guests with me today. And so today we're going to be talking about money breakthroughs. But before we do that, let's just take a minute and get grounded before in the space, because we've all been busy this morning, and or maybe we've been relaxed and we just need a little bit of energy. So I am going to invite you to sit with your feet on the floor if that feels good, or if you're cozied up somewhere, whatever works for you. I like to put my hand over my heart, just to send my heart a little bit of love and drop into my heart space. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Just take a couple of gentle breaths. And we're going to do a visualization today. Yesterday in day 4, I walked you through a visualization where you saw yourself discovering and opening the door of abundance. So if you picture in your mind's eye the beautiful door of abundance, and you've opened the door because you have the key, now I want you to visualize what's on the other side waiting for you. Is it a room? Maybe it's a room filled with golden treasures. Maybe it's a room with rich, comfortable couches where all the people you love are hanging out, listening to music, playing games. Maybe it's not a room. Maybe it's a field, and the field is full of flowers and fruit and vegetables, and all the plants are overflowing, and they're ready for you to pick them. Maybe on the other side of your door of abundance is all the people and organizations that you have helped and you are ready to help next. Because when you make more, you can give more. So you get to decide, what are you seeing in your mind's eye beyond the door of abundance? Step into the space if you haven't already, and claim what's there as your own, because you are worthy and it is waiting for you. Take a few more deep, relaxing breaths. And when you're ready, open your eyes and join me back in the space. And I'm going to give you just a minute, if you would like to briefly jot down anything that's coming up for you and anything that you saw in that visualization. And while you do that, I'm going to drop the link to today's worksheet in the chat. If you're watching the replay, you can find the worksheets and the video replays you can find the worksheets in the file section of the Money Matters with Kat Facebook group. And the replays are also in there. They are probably under the media section. Or you can find them in the discussion threads. That didn't work. And today's worksheet is short and sweet. So if you do not have access to grab it or print it out or anything, don't worry about it. It's just got 2 questions and a little list for you. So, wow, what a week. Thank you for being here. So we have talked about money mindset, money values, money habits, manifesting money, and today we're going to celebrate breakthrough. So that is a lot to digest in 5 days. So congrats. And the great news is this is just a little exercise and challenge to get you started on your journey to having more money breakthroughs for yourself. So yeah, so that's lots of great insights and ahas and breakthroughs have been shared already this week. But before we get started in today's conversation, I always like to have a share session. So I would love to know, after our conversation yesterday, what is showing up for you. So if anybody wants to share, either in the chat or on camera or audio, I would love it. And I do have to say, my sweet doggy is in the office with me today. He's just being a little needy today. So hopefully he will not hear something and bark. But if he does, then you'll get to meet Rambo. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask a question while y'all are thinking. And I can just see all like kind of flipping through your notes. So is there something that you feel was either a challenge for you to answer a question, a place where you were getting stuck, or you're like, I definitely want to go deeper with that?
I can share. I want to be authentic and transparent, though, that I haven't been able to dive into day 4. One of the things that happened yesterday, though, I transitioned from Squamish to Vancouver, and as I was leaving Heather's house, that's why I wasn't on the call yesterday. As I was leaving Heather's house, I had a lot of obligation energy. I'm like, well, I'm driving. I got to be on the Zoom call. I want to, support Kat, and it's like day 4, and I got to do this. I got to do that, and the to-do list just kept rolling. And then my heart said, go to the woods, because I hadn't been to the woods enough, and my mind said, you have too much to do. So my heart told my mind to get in the back seat and shut it. And I went to the woods, and I went for a quick walk. It wasn't long. Went to my favorite spot, and I just hugged a tree and put my forehead on the tree, and I had a little cry, and I have no idea why, and it doesn't matter. There's 80 different reasons why we cry, so I've stopped trying to figure out why. And then I got back into my truck and drove home. And on the way home, I had a flood of ideas. There's challenges in my business I haven't figured out. There's some, as we were talking about our value this week, right? And mine was creative money. Like the creative ideas to generate money came. And I had an aha, and I had texted Heather and I said, I know I wasn't on the call about manifesting, but I think I remembered something is that you can't manifest when you're stressed and when you're overwhelmed, and that there needs to be like a deeper connection with our heart and with ourselves, and a calm, relaxed nervous system. And then in conscious business immersion, that the entire call ended up being about that because of somebody else that wasn't even involved in this. And so that was my share. And I haven't looked at what yesterday's sheet was, but my manifesting magic reminder was that abundance doesn't come in the doing, but it comes in the being. And it was a reminder of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing that. Love that. I'm just going to sit with that for a minute. Yeah, thank you. I love what you said. You cannot manifest when you're stressed. And here's what I know about manifesting, which is just a little bit. Honestly, it's the universe is there waiting to give us I mean, it's there. The door of abundance is open, and it's there for us to receive. It's just, are we energetically ready and open? So that's one of the things I got out of your share, Anne Marie. So thank you for that. So beautiful. So, well, the question on today's worksheet is, what's the number one money breakthrough you've experienced in this challenge? So, um, who else would like to share? Either, like, I see, even if it's a little micro. I was thinking about this yesterday when it comes to, and for me, it was money habits because I was out doing some shopping, just personal needs and getting ready for my husband's birthday and some things like that. And so I was just like in this awareness of what my habits have been in the past. Like, I went into a store and I bought a lipstick that I really don't need because I have like two other lipsticks. But in the past, I would have bought more than one. And so I was like, no, I'm good with one. And then we did a little bit more shopping, and I bought something else, but it felt good. It was for a fundraiser. And so it was something I did that was not a need, it was a want. So I just share that example because I was in an awareness of, I'm going to choose differently than I have in the past, because then what happens is I create debt, and that creates stress. And um and not feel guilty for the purchase. So it was just a lot of self-talk and mindset, because even like you could say, okay, well, not only did I not need that lipstick, but could I have bought a more affordable lipstick? And I was like, no, that's quality, and I value quality in beauty products. So that's just an example of how um, I think you'll be able to use the experience of this week and go forward. And like I said yesterday, it's not about depriving yourself. It's just about, one, it's about having an awareness, and then it's about um, looking at, are there some things I need to stop doing, and you know how can I make some different choices so I can get in alignment with what I'm saying, with what I value. Yeah. Okay, enough about me.
I'll share a little bit.
Thank
Um,
you.
couple of things that I still need to sort of sit with and unpack. One of the realizations, I know people were talking yesterday about shopping, and I think it was the other girl that was on, Tracy, I think her name was. Um, she was saying about how when she doesn't feel good, she shops, and I know what I realized that was the reverse for me, was that when I feel good about myself and I'm happy, that's when I feel good about making purchases. But when I'm not feeling good about myself, I think that goes more to how I feel about myself, and I don't feel like I deserve anything. So I tend to do, I guess, the reverse of what some people do is shop when I'm happy and I feel good about it. Um, the other thing I realize I really need to sit with more, and I know this is it. It's about my mindset around money really has to do with how my mother unconsciously, the messaging she gave us. I mean, she never really flat out said, you have to make this much money, you have to, but it was how she did things, and how she raised us, um, uh, spending or not spending, and valuing. She used to tell stories. It's my brother and my sister and I, and she always would tell stories how when we'd go on vacation, she'd give us all whatever it was, $10, $20 to shop. My brother always saved it, and my sister and I always spent it. And so she always like would put my brother up on a pedestal with, you know he saved his money, the girls always spent it. So it was a sort of unconscious, why we're buying frivolous things, and just things like that, how they invested and things like that. So I have to really sit with a lot of those stories, and see what's really hers, and what's mine, and what I can reframe as what I value, and what was hers that just is her echoing in my head, kind of thing. If that makes sense, I need to work with that more.
Absolutely. I think you'll, great awareness though. And um, so yes, because it's like, what did I make that mean about me? How did I internalize that? Um, and make that mean about it makes somebody else's money story your own, and mean about you. So, and just knowing that you know, our parents, our caregivers, that is a big influence in how we adopt our money mindset. And they are, they don't know any better. They just are, it's handed down. I mean, some of the things that I've heard, um, and I was not taught good money habits. Like we didn't talk about money, but I saw that, I had things modeled for me that were positive, but where did those habits, where did that mindset and values and habits come from for, let's say, my grandparents' generation? Well, it was modeled for them, so, or, and then sometimes they chose differently, but a lot of times, well, in my family, they weren't doing any mindset work. They were just working to survive, and to have they knew they wanted better for their families and those kind of things. So yeah, it can definitely be multi-generational, um mindset. And yeah, it's interesting too. It's like they gave you the money to freely spend. So, that there was, it kind of just shows what was valued, definitely, with like, okay, this one's a saver, and these two are savers, and this one's a spender. It's like, why does it matter? You gave me the money. So, um, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Great insight.
I had an aha. It's kind of similar to yesterday's, but just the thinking of it seems so simple. I'm almost like embarrassed to say, but thinking about needs versus wants is really so good for me, because I think I tend to get excited and just want to do these things, like, and because I'm here alone right now, like there's no reason, like there's no one I need to ask if I can do them. But thinking about that like need and want column helps me be more intentional and think, well, if I did that, then like, is that really what I want to do? Or would I rather save for the thing I really want to do?
Right, right. Can you see an example in your life of like where you could redirect that flow to something that feels more aligned
Yes.
with what? Yeah.
Yeah. Like this week, so I have this like knack for kind of like taking trips. And I know it's related to like, I'm here, I'm alone. Like I love connection. Connection is my top value. So like I almost went on this trip this weekend with friends, but I'm going on another trip in a few weeks. And that trip is really important. Friends are getting married. That one, like I have planned on. So this impromptu trip came up this week, and I really got clear. I was like, it's a want. It's a want, and it would be fun, but when I started thinking about all the costs associated with it, it was like, I'd so much rather have that for my trip in 3 weeks that I'm actually planning on. It's like it's that reactive versus reflective. It feels like one of the kind of tenets around heart-centered living.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And so for me, there was like several things in there was, I mean, just your awareness. And then, yeah, like really getting honest with yourself. Is this a want or a need? Um, and being willing to put some, I'm going to use the word boundaries, but like I said, I don't believe that we have to like be so restrictive on ourselves. That's not the purpose of money or making money for me. I mean, it's that doesn't feel abundance, but sometimes, and I know I've experienced this myself. It's like, girl, you have no. This is me talking to myself. You have no discipline when it comes to, saying no to yourself. So a little bit like spoiled. Like if I want something, I get it. But then it's the stress of what that decision has created in my life. So, and as we grow in our heart, our heart work, and I think as we grow as humans, and investing in personal development and professional development, and as we get older, hopefully, there's some maturity that also comes that what used to be important shifts, and so that's what I love too about this experience is like you can go back and do this in 3 months, 6 months, and things are going to show up differently for you. And then when I had talked about what are the patterns you're seeing in your money habits, is it's not just looking at, oh, there's a lot of outflow in this certain area, but it's also looking at going back to the life areas concept of where's my, like, what buckets is my money flowing into? How do I feel about that? And do I want it to flow into this other bucket instead or in addition to? What does that look like when it comes down to making choices? And then the choices are around our spending, around our saving, and around creating income. We haven't, I mean, that's not the really the focus of this challenge, but that is a piece of it. To, for some of us, it's like not changing any habits. And it may just be like, well, what do I need to take a look at in my business? How do I create some more cash flow? So that is a piece of it too. So yeah, great share. Okay, y'all got some good conversations going on in the chat. Let me see what's going on. Yeah, don't let anybody else tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I have to catch myself that with the we'll just call him the 13-year-old. So yeah. But and if you're an emotional spender and an impulse spender, then I'm hoping that these exercises are helping you with that too. I had a conversation yesterday with a kiddo. He wanted I guess it's a thing now that you get your earbuds for your phone and they come in their own charging case, but then they sell all these cute little things you can put that case in. I don't know if y'all seen them, and they have a clip and they like clip them to their backpack or purses or whatever. Well, he wanted a football one. Well, his little charger wouldn't fit in the football one. And I was like, that one would have been really cool because he's going to be playing football, but he found a high top tennis shoe one they had. And I'm like, are you sure that's what you want? We can look in other places. Well, you can look around. Well, he thought I meant right there, that little kiosk thing. I'm like, no, you can look around, but it was $19.95. I'm like, you have to pay for it. So, it was just like the lessons around that for both him and also too, I was in awareness of like, what's my motivation in saying this to him? Am I putting my opinions and and values and everything on him? Yes. I mean, he's a kid. But so it was interesting to have the awareness and just like, and he chose to get it. So totally fine, yeah. Um, okay, so number one, money breakthrough. Wants versus needs. That's one that I heard. Let me see. I saw something else. Also, our attitude, our mindset, values, and habits may be handed down. Great share on manifesting and mindset. So let's just do a check-in though, because habits take time, and creating new habits take time. So kudos for the awareness that's happened just in the last 4 days. But I'd like to know, and this is on your worksheet, so what are the limiting beliefs or habits that you've identified that are no longer serving you in relation to money?
I'll, can I share?
Sure, absolutely.
Let me, I think mine comes up with charging for clients and services, and it goes to imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I'm not there. I haven't made it, or whatever it is. But when I was taking my life coaching classes, one of the teachers says, "Do you give 100% of yourself?" Well, of course, you give you have a client, you're giving 100% of your service, of your time, and everything. So she says, "Well, you should be charging at least $100 an hour." And to me, that was like, okay, I get that, but I never could do it, and I still don't. I only charge 60. So, um, I feel like I haven't gotten there to charge that $100. So it's self-worth and value and not being good enough. That's my limiting belief for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's a huge one. That's why I mean, and that is one of my reasons that I stepped into being a money mindset mentor and money breakthrough coach, is that I was experiencing that for myself in another industry. It was service based, but then also too in coaching, I got all this access to this great content and curriculum, and I have some marketing experience. So I was like, I can see how to put this together and how to market and everything. But I was really getting stuck on my pricing, and having also experiencing that in another industry, I knew it was something showing up about me. It wasn't the coaching space, and so I was like, I had a choice. I was like, either don't do anything, meaning don't contribute any income, go work for somebody else, or figure this out. So I had to get really honest with myself. And so I went on a journey, and it's been a journey. And then also too, I was like, okay, Kat, if you're experiencing this, there's other people that are experiencing this. What I can tell you really briefly, I'll just give a little coaching, and I do work with my clients on this specifically, is there's two things to consider in your pricing. And the and just for you to think about, this is a starting point. So is what is the, when you're thinking about pricing something, is well, there's three things. One is, I encourage you to move from an hourly rate to some kind of package, and there's ways to do that, and you can do that in ways that feel in alignment with you, and then you can kind of tier up. But then also too, when you're thinking about your pricing, is what's the content, like how much content is in what you're offering. So if there's just one thing, then that might be a different price point, if there's five things. And then consider the transformation that your client's going to have. So there's that goes a little bit deeper, but just that helps a little bit. And just remember your expertise. So if you're newer in the coaching space, you still have all this. You tell me how old you just turned, and I'm not going to say it, but it's a beautiful it's a beautiful age anyway. Um, but not everybody wants their age out there. So, but anyway, so what that tells me is you have been around, you have experience, you're an expert, you know more than your client. So, that's a whole nother, like, you got me fired up. So, I hope
Yeah,
that,
but that's good stuff. I like that.
yeah,
I have considered the hourly or a package thing. And I do sort of do if I'll tell people, if you want to meet with me one time, it's $80. But if you think you want to meet with me more than 3 times, then it's $60 an hour. So I have kind of worked with that. Um, I like the content. If I'm giving a little brief thing or if I'm giving more, that's a good thing for me to sit down and look at. And the transformation, that's a big one. What's the value of their
yeah.
transformation by doing?
And then
Yeah,
also, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, if that's helpful when you're just like,
yeah,
because I know you're looking at that stuff now.
right.
And stay tuned because I do a uh, a workshop called Money Mindset Mastery, and that really, the other kind of piece of that is what do we want from our business, and then stepping it like financial goal, and then stepping into that. And so that is some more mindset work of how do we, what's keeping us, what's the self-limiting belief, and what's the energetic blocks that are keeping us from stepping into that goal that we've set for ourselves. So
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that sounds really good. I want to share something somebody said to me one time when we were talking about business, and she said, well, you're not hungry enough for it. It's a hobby. You're not hungry enough for it. And she said that in relation to the fact that um, if for her, her business was her livelihood. It was how she paid her groceries, how she paid her bills, how she, you know, that was her livelihood. That was her job. At the time, I was still teaching. And then my husband's working. So in a sense, it's not my livelihood. If I make $100 a month or if I make $1,000 a month, of course, $1,000 is better because I can spend more things, but it's not, it doesn't, it is sort of, I don't know if that's making any sense. My husband takes care of the bills. So in my sense, what I do doesn't take care of the bills. So what she was saying was that my business wasn't valuable enough because it wasn't paying my bills. I don't know if I made any sense right there, but
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the circumstances are different for all of us, and I totally get what she was saying. So the opportunity for all of us as entrepreneurs is to, we get to decide. We have all these messages from society. I mean, back to the shoulds. It's like, well, you should be earning this. You should be a six-figure income earner. You should be a seven-figure, income earner. There's even a thing where people are earning eight, figures a year. And, why is that important? Like what would you, why is that number important? So, um, so you get to decide that, because I believe that as women, especially if you're in a partnership, um, and there's commingled money, like, you should know what's going on with all of that. And because circumstances can change. So there's that piece of it. But also, too, this came up in a conversation with one of my buddies in my coaching program, is we were talking about the concept of being financially independent as a woman and what that means. And is that the goal? So that's of like, you a me conversation first, and then like a we conversation you could have with your partner. And then once you just decide that, and there's more mindset things that go into that for sure, but then you can start to set those financial goals, and then just make sure that that's in alignment, and make sure there's not something holding you back from fully stepping into what's possible for you. And then obviously we want your business to make a profit and not create more debt. I mean, there is a place in season in business where we incur debt, and that's just, how we use money, how we use credit, all that kind of stuff. So that's just some more things for you to think about, Jeannie. Or another way, I guess, to also look at it, or kind of another layer. So yeah, and what is your motivation? So yeah, what is the intention behind your business? Maybe it is to, build a savings bucket, the retirement bucket. Maybe it's the, emergency fund bucket, or your money is the vacation, the fun money, for some giving. I mean, you get to decide.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's a lot for
absolutely.
me to think about.
Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
And I get what that person was saying, because when your business has to pay the rent, um, versus it's a mindset thing. It's like, okay, it's making it, making the sales happen, versus getting into a mindset of like, oh, if I make something, it's okay. Versus having, and let's take off the what you have to pay for, what your responsibilities are, that piece, but it's getting yourself in the mindset of, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, this is what I want for my business, and these are the steps that I want to take to build this business, and who I want to work with, and all that. So it's doing the activities and taking the actions, and then setting some goals for yourself, versus so it's being proactive versus reactive. That, okay, I'm happy if I get a client. So that I'm not saying that's going on with you, but that's like, based on what you were telling me that person said to you, that's what showed up for me. It's like, yeah, it's like, are we energetically open for business? Have we stepped into non-negotiable, I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to make this work no matter what. And it looks like, and I get to decide what it looks like when it comes to the money matters. Because I'll be really, really honest, before I stepped into the coaching space, I was like, anytime there was money upset, guess what I did? One of the things I did, I went on LinkedIn and looked at the job postings. So I would get upset and stress about the money stress that I had created, and the debt that had created. And I'll be like, I'll just go find a job. And if I'm lucky, it'll be one where I can still work from home and have some freedom. And finally, I'm going to contribute to being in community, the heart-centered work, and just like continuing to work on myself. It's like, you wouldn't catch me. No. Yeah. And I understand there's a season that sometimes people need to do that, or they need to pick up some kind of freelance thing. I had even looked in, like, I'll just go get a retail job, because, that's a little bit flexible. And then yesterday, going like to the mall, is like, oh, you could not pay me. I would rather go sweep a ditch. So anyway, and I am not, if you're listening to this and you are in the retail industry, I'm just like, thank you for your service. But for me, yeah, it was just like, what's the quick, I was looking for the quick fix, and trying to put a Band-Aid on stuff. So lots to think about for sure. Yeah. Okay. So what are the top 3? I want to hear from you guys, even if it's just one. So I'm asking you to get into action, take some inspired action, and just pick 3 things, even if they're micro mini things, that you can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to move you forward towards or through a money breakthrough. That can be something in the area of mindset. It can be values, habits, little bitty, big, whatever it is. It could even be going back and spending more time on, the experience you had this week. It could be going, out into nature and just thinking about it. taking a bubble bath, loving on yourself, any of those. No right or wrong. So what, yeah, what's, and you just share one. And if it's, I'm going to figure out what they are. I want to hear that too. I'm going to figure out what my top three are. Y'all don't be shy. I'll share mine first. And I started it today. So I realized that I need to cut out some digital, what I call digital distraction, because I'm tempted. I'm easily tempted as an impulse emotional spender. And so I have a lot of emails that I signed up for where companies where I've shopped online and I'm on their email, 25% off, free shipping, get this today, you have to have it. And so that's one of my action steps. I deleted about 5 this morning. It's just to continue to go through my emails and really, I mean, that'll serve two purposes. It's the brain clutter, but it's also like, I know where you are if I need to find you. And I know that there's a benefit of being on somebody's list because they offer you discounts. And I appreciate that because that is a way to save money, but it's just gotten out of hand for me. So that's one of my number one. I want to hear from y'all.
I've done the same thing, Kat. I've got a separate email that's just for that, for those emails coming in when you sign up for something. And I choose when and where I want to look at it. And I find that just cleared, like you said, it clears the clutter, and it just, because I too am an impulse buyer. And then I usually regret it after the fact. But anyways, yeah, getting rid of those really does, I find it really helps.
Heather, thank you for sharing that because some people, like when you're making new decisions around money habits, you may not be ready to completely cut the cord on something. So find what works for you to, if it is something you're like, I just don't need that temptation, then do another email and pull it over somewhere and then see if you look at it. You may never go in there and look at them, or you may look at it, 3 weeks later and the offer's not, no longer valid. So thank you for sharing that.
I think we're gonna get a barbecue. So we're gonna spend to save. Because one of the reasons why we eat out so much is because our kitchen isn't inspiring. And so, yeah, it just came to the conclusion that what would be inspiring is to be able to cook outside and have a space outside that that is outside of the home. And then the next layer of that is just, speaking to my partner about it and just getting even better with our meal planning in order to free up some of that cash that we are spending on eating out for other things that matter.
I love that. So today I had to run an errand this morning and I try to do my water and we have an extra fridge. Blessed to have that. And we keep bottled water because it's convenient for one thing and it's a habit. And when kiddo goes to baseball, I have like a soft cooler and I load that up with extra water. He already has a thing. But this morning I was like, no, I'm going to take the time out of my refrigerator and I have ice in my fridge. So I have all those conveniences. I'm like, I'm going to take the time and just do it for myself. Just like, and same thing could be for coffee or whatever. So it's where in the past, maybe I wouldn't have thought anything of it. And it's also more eco-friendly. So yeah. So I love that. I mean, that sounds like fun, but yeah, and it's making that decision of we're going to, yes, it's an investment to be able to do this, but in the long run, it will be a savings and it's another cool thing y'all can do together. Well, I encourage you to, and don't overthink this, just like it'll probably come, give yourself some time to process the experience and the conversations from this week. But I encourage, and here's what I'm going to ask of you is post in the Facebook group or message me what, like, okay, I got my top 3 and I'm going to do it by tomorrow or the next day. And whether it could just be having a conversation. So it might not be an action. The action might be to have a conversation, or the action might be like, well, I still want to look at my credit card statement. I haven't done that. And I want to see, or I still need to go and see what apps, like maybe there's some apps I've forgotten about, and I forget about them until I get that charge on my credit card. Maybe it's setting a goal for yourself, or seeing where you want money to flow differently. So it could be all of those things as well. Maybe it's setting creating a zero spend day, like one day a week. Start with one day and be like, this is zero spend Sunday. On Sunday, when I think I want to go and do something, and but it's going to be X, X, Y. I know it's going to be, maybe it's a concert. It's going to be this much for the ticket and to have a drink and appetizer and all that stuff. Be like, how would it feel if I listened to music at home and did something else? And you get to choose that. If you want to go spend the money on the concert ticket, it's fine. Just, look at the big picture. Okay. So that is, as we wrap it up, that's what I'm going to ask of you, is to spend time on this action list and let me know what is going on. And let's see, I wanted to share something with you. Just look at my notes. Okay. I have got, be on the lookout. Let me hang on a second. I'm going to wrap this up. So I'm going to stop recording.